on Instagram, there are people on TikTok, there are people on YouTube that might not even have to do that much, but because they look a certain way, they can just be gorgeous, have stunning features, and get popular. Just like in real life, where you can just literally exist and people flock towards you because you look a specific way. Just like how it would work in interviews when you have all these people lined up and one of them looks the best out of everyone you've seen. You're like, I want this person to work for me. They didn't do anything special. They might just be just as good as the other candidates, maybe even greater, maybe worse. But because they're so pretty, they just have to work with you. Hi guys, it's AFROPUFFY, and I am here with another video. Yay! Alright, so today we're going to be talking about pretty privilege, as I had seen two other YouTubers talk about previously, last month I believe, and I thought that I would put my take on it as they both were of a darker complexion, and I wondered, since I was a bit lighter, I wanted to compare our experiences and see how they would compare and how they would differ. So, growing up, let me see here. Growing up, I knew I was average and not pretty by society's standard. I have thick bushy eyebrows, a wider nose, and full lips, as well as wild, kinky hair, as well as a gap in my teeth. I noticed the guys I liked and admired that talking to girls with their hair done and much more accepting features. I always felt like my smile was goofy because I had this huge gap. Never felt like there was anything specifically great about me that stood out. I had a lanky, skinny body for the most part, and small eyes, wider nose, tiny little ears, and huge thick eyebrows, as well as crazy hair that is now calmly braided down somehow. I always felt invisible ever since elementary school. As far as I knew it, I was invisible, and I grew up shy. So this proved to be a problem as I got older. I realized that I needed to do something if I ever wanted to be noticed. So I became more energetic and entertaining, focused on being funny, more charming, pretty much a whole plan, a whole step plan as to what I could do. I focused on what I could do to be more appealing. What could I do to grab their attention, right? Felt like I had to work a bit harder. I couldn't just exist and be like, oh, what, you noticed me? Oh, what? This, wow, this just happened. Like, no. Whenever I saw a guy that I liked or thought was cute, to this day, actually, this still applies to this day, I would try to make the first move because I knew deep down inside that if I didn't, nothing would happen. That they wouldn't notice me and would walk away. They would walk right past me. So I had to be charming. I had to be flirtatious. I had to be funny. I had to say something witty to get their attention. I didn't have an amazing school experience, and I say school because it applied both in elementary, middle, and high school. I wasn't extraordinarily pretty, I was average looking. Therefore, my experience wasn't like the experiences you see in movies or anything. There was nothing about me that really stood out, that was like, wow, look at her. The most that I knew that I was that I was light-skinned and that I was mixed, and there were people that could notice that, and that was it. If I had those two things taken away from me, I was absolutely positive, I was sure that I would be even more invisible than I am today. So I didn't have a huge wardrobe. I still don't. I don't have a huge wardrobe of amazing clothes. I don't know how to do my hair or makeup or nails. I barely ever have my hair done or my nails done. I don't do my makeup at all, and there's actually a reason for that. But I eventually felt that there was nothing that I could do to make a difference as to how I looked, to looking better. I remember, I think in middle school and high school, I had my hair relaxed. But even when I had my hair relaxed, when I got past the point that my hair was straighter and easier to manage, in the end, I felt like it wasn't going to make a difference as to how I was viewed. I think I was treated a bit differently, but I still didn't feel the pretty that I saw on mainstream celebrities and other girls that I was jealous of, that were considered traditionally pretty by society's standard. I know when it comes to guys, being mixed, for me, when it comes to guys, when they see me, being mixed is a part of the appeal when it comes to talking to me. I already know. To be exotic. Regardless, I never felt like I had the ability to make every head turn, or even some heads turn when I walk into a room, or get special treatment, or get free stuff. Yet, I have had a few experiences when I was at work that I was bought a meal and was tipped voluntarily at several jobs. I wouldn't say this happened a lot. I would say this happened a handful of times. No, I don't remember if it was a man or a woman, but I think when I was bought a meal, it's because I didn't have any money for food, or I think that they thought my service was great or something like that. Do I wonder if the color of my skin and my features played a part? Yes, I do. It might have. It might not have. I may never know to this day. I don't know what that person's intentions were. But it has me wondering, if pretty privilege played a part in that. If my skin was darker, would I still get that treatment? But then that goes into colorism, doesn't it? Pretty privilege. Do I or do I not have it? That's what I've been wondering as I've been seeing these videos. Very intriguing to watch, by the way, seeing these girls' experiences and how they view themselves and how society views them. And it's really sad. But when I think of what society deems as pretty and myself, I don't see myself fitting in with those girls. I don't see myself fitting in with what's considered pretty. When I was voluntarily tipped, mind you, I wasn't a waitress, I was a cashier. So that played an even bigger part. There was this guy that was like, yeah, he gave me like $5. I'm like, dude, use that to buy yourself a soda with. I don't know why he did that. Was it pretty privilege? Was it because he didn't want to keep the change? I don't know. It might be me making excuses for myself. When I talked about these experiences with my family, they were all telling me how lucky I was and that never happened to them. I don't know why. Whenever I got hit on, places I've been hit on, the metro, the bus stop, the street, my neighborhood, I figured that I was just a part of the many girls that these guys were hitting on. And it always sounded the same. Hey you, excuse me, what's your name? Can I get your number? It was never anything to be jealous of, or like, oh my gosh, look at what he asked her. It wasn't anything intellectual. It was always the same thing, always the same format, like they learned it in school or something, and they were all saying the same thing. If I was darker and not mixed, how would these same people treat me? People are nicer to pretty girls. Attractive people get treated better. When I think of those two statements, I can't particularly disagree with them at all. Why? Because pretty people are nice to look at. When you look at cute guys, what do you think? Oh my gosh, he's so handsome. Pretty girls, wow, she could be a model. So what? You have positive feelings toward them. You project positive characteristics onto them, unless they're obviously a jerk. And to some people, even if they might be a jerk, you see how blessed and beautiful they look on the outside. It's just like, wow, you might just completely ignore how gross they are on the inside. I don't particularly disagree with those statements that pretty people are treated better. Pretty privilege is a thing. I can't agree with that. I'm not sure where it fits into my experience in life, if I have it or not, because one, I'm light skinned, and two, I'm mixed. But when it comes to my features, I feel like I'm average. If it weren't for my eyes, which a lot of guys have mentioned, yeah, you look kind of Asian. If it weren't for my eyes, you know, I feel like I would just be like any other black girl. I've said it a million times that I feel like I just look black. But for a lot of guys and a lot of people in general, it's been obvious to them that I'm mixed. Well, I never felt like I fit the mold of what's considered beautiful. These girls with pretty privilege. Now, what's in for us? What, slim, thick? I don't fit that mold at all. I don't feel like I get any special privileges when I go out or when I go out in public. I feel like for the most part I can get in and get out. And I feel like if there are any dudes that talk to me, it's because they're desperate. But I don't feel like the public is in my favor and I'm automatically going to be treated specially or differently. I don't feel like that. So I could easily say that I don't have pretty privilege. But to someone else who were to see my life unfold versus how their life went, they were like, yeah, but you had X, Y, and Z happen to you, and I've never had that happen to me before. These lines feel blurred as crap. This all the way blurred. But for me, truly, I do feel like being lighter did something for me slightly. I'm also considered slim thick. I don't have any boobs, but I have a butt. I have a bit of a butt. And on a skinny girl, as they would call that, slim thick, that is a feature that guys admire. Not every guy, but a lot of guys. I knew when I got dressed up for prom that I didn't have pretty privilege. I got dressed up for prom. I looked really good. The most exciting part of it was when everyone was taking our pictures, when families were taking our pictures. When we got to the actual venue, that was the part where I ended up feeling invisible again. My prom experience is something I can talk about another day for sure, because that was a whole thing. But first of all, I had no date. Someone actually did ask me, but they chickened out. And I ended up just wandering around the venue in the end, just going everywhere. And I sat down, and this guy ended up blowing up on me a little bit. He went off on me, being in the way. Just sitting down, by the way, not doing anything. He went off on me for sitting down where I was sitting because him and his date were gonna sit there. I was in the way or something like that. It didn't matter that I had absolutely everything done and actually thought I looked beautiful that day. Nobody asked me to dance. Nobody particularly talked to me that I remember. I was just there. Pretty much invisible. I might as well have been wearing sweatpants and stuff. Now, beauty is subjective. Beauty is superficial. It determines how people are going to treat you. You might have pretty privilege, you might not have pretty privilege, you might not know if you have it, like me. I don't know. But one thing is for sure, it shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't be a thing that happens in public. This shouldn't be something that people experience. It's a type of discrimination, if anything, that if you are more attractive, that you're going to be treated better. Especially for girls, having all these favors done because they look a specific way. If guys are going to be nicer to girls or talk to them only because they're pretty, that's a problem. That would mean that I always have intentions, wouldn't it? when it comes to guy friends, I'm not gonna only say would I date this person and then talk to them. It's just if this person appeals to you in general. Are they funny? Are they nice to talk to? Are they a good person? Do we have stuff in common? Well, that's how friends are made. You can't judge people by the outside. When people say that looks don't matter, and you grow up hearing that looks don't matter, it doesn't matter, you know, what you look like. You know, you say that as a self-soothing saying, something soothing to hear as comfort. But in the end, the cruel reality is that your looks do matter. Being attractive does matter, and pretty privilege does exist. It's not something that we might want to address. It's not something that people may want to admit, or those out there that people out there don't even know that they have or have done to other people. But it's true. And I'm hoping that we do better than that eventually. I really do. Even if I may have it better than some of my darker sisters out there, or those with different features than me. I know that when it comes to Eurocentric features, the smaller nose and thinner lips, I consider myself to have fuller lips, but there's girls out there with even fuller lips than me. It's hard when you have a bigger nose and bigger lips. Now, if you do the combination of a small, tiny nose and full lips, all of a sudden it's like, oh, she's got these plump lips and a slim nose and big eyes and cheekbones. Wow, a whole Barbie doll, a whole Bratz doll. When I think of pretty, what did I see on my Bratz dolls? All of them had full lips and a small nose and huge eyes. And though I knew that was the style, when I think of Instagram, that's what I think of. Small nose, plump, full lips. Not like lips that are like full, like you've got huge lips, just plump enough, and big eyes. I always felt like I had small eyes, so I was already at a disadvantage. Like small eyes and a big nose and big lips, it just felt like I was not going to fit into what was considered pretty. I was not going to fit in with the Instagram models. But we're talking about pretty privilege here. This was quite the video to make. When I heard those two girls talking about their experiences, it really made me sad that they would experience something like that. And there are people out there that don't even know when they're doing it, when they're treating people differently because they're pretty. They might just be doing it subconsciously, just might be doing that naturally. It's the sad truth. You're going to be treated differently when you look a certain way. It doesn't just apply to girls, it applies to guys as well. I'm not going to look at you any differently because you're prettier than me. I'm not going to treat you differently or be jealous of you because you're prettier. But I can for sure say we are not going to have the same life experiences. We are not going to be treated the same at a bar or at a party. We're all going to be treated differently regardless. Everyone has their own idea of what pretty is. And we could go on and on and on of what even is considered pretty. We can say what society considers pretty. But when you ask people, though there might be a majority pick, in the end, everyone has their own idea of what they would consider the pretty that they would be going after. There's guys that love huge boobs, guys that like small boobs, and so on and so forth. So, Urban Dictionary describes pretty privilege, and I quote, "A person who has more opportunities and becomes more successful in life because of how attractive they are." I don't feel like I fit that definition, to be honest. Here's another one. Pretty privilege is the concept that pretty people benefit in life from being perceived as beautiful. Pretty privilege can give way to more popularity, higher grades, more positive work reviews, and career opportunities. So yeah, bias is real. I'm sure there's many celebrities that went through it, many people around me that went through it. It's a reality. But I want to thank Ostefco for talking about this, and all the other girls out there that mentioned it. This was definitely an interesting topic to talk about. I definitely enjoyed looking into it and hearing about your experiences. I would love to hear in the comments what you guys think of this, and yeah. 너에게로 이어지는